Hi, I'm Tash. Welcome to Tash's Library. Today's video is going to be my December TBR, and this month I'm going to be participating in a readathon. This is the Reindeer Readathon, which was set up by Eric at Break Even Books, and I'm going to be on Team Stocking, which is led by Kristen at Kristen Craves Books. This readathon consists of a number of different prompts based on the different reindeer. You have 9 main prompts with the opportunity to gain bonus points with 3 extra prompts, and then you can add an extra book at the end once you've completed all 9 prompts. So let's have a look at the prompts and which books I'm going to choose for December. The first prompt is for Dasha, and this is worth 15 points, and it's finish a series or pick up a book that you started and put down. If neither of these are options, a short story or novella. So I have no series at the moment that are 1 book away from completing, and I tend to complete books when I pick them up. So I'm going to have to go with a short story novella, and I'm going to pick a novella. And for this one, I'm going to pick Binti by Nnedi Okorafor. This is a futuristic, African-inspired novella, the first of a trilogy, and it follows Binti, the first of the Himba people ever to be offered a place at UMSA University, the finest institution of higher learning in the galaxy. But to accept the offer will mean giving up her place in her family to travel between the stars among strangers who do not share her ways or respect her customs. Knowledge comes at a cost, one that Binti is willing to pay, but her journey will not be easy. The world she seeks to enter has long warred with the Medusae, an alien race that has become the stuff of nightmares. UMSA University has wronged the Medusa, and Binti's stellar travel will bring her within their deadly reach. If Binti hopes to survive the legacy of a war not of her making, she will need both the gifts of her people and the wisdom enshrined within the university itself, but first she has to make it there alive. This sounds so exciting. It seems to have horror elements as well, and it's going to be great. The second prompt is Dancer, worth 10 points, and this is a book with a cursive or flowy or elegant fonts on the cover. So the only one I had that really fit this is a mystery novel that I've wanted to read, and this is The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. So it does have the Thursday and the club bits do have cursive writing. So I think this matches it. Nice quick read for December as well. So it's nice to have a bit of a mix, particularly since it is the crazy season, right? And this is based in a retirement village where 4 friends meet up once a week to investigate unsolved murders. And then a brutal killing takes place on their very doorstep, and then they find themselves in the middle of their first live case. So they might be pushing 80, but they still have a few tricks up their sleeves. Sounds really funny. I've heard it's quite witty and light, good escapism. So that's going to be my second book on my TBR. The next prompt is Prancer, and this is worth 20 points. And it's a book of your favorite season on the cover, or the book cover has colors from your favorite season on it. And for this one, I'm going to go winter. I like the cold, I like snow, and it also gives me a chance to put a book that I really want on my TBR. It's a series I've started and I really want to continue it quite desperately. And so this is The Crystal Shard by R.A. Salvatore. So quite a lot of snow, as you can see on the cover. And this is the 4th novel in the Legend of Drizzt series, which is a Dungeons and Dragons Forgotten Realms series. I love Drizzt. I absolutely love Drizzt. Now, I can't tell you very much about this, obviously, because it's book 4. Drizzt is a dark elf who gets brought up in a society that's quite dark in more ways than one. They definitely engage in activities that would not be seen as particularly good or moral. And he starts questioning these. He starts wondering whether he actually fits into the society at all and starts rebelling. And then basically the series starts following his adventures as he sort of moves away from his community and meets a whole lot of other people on the way, and how he comes to use his particular skills. It's great. It's so beautifully written as well. Great little interludes with all these philosophical musings, and I am loving this series. I think this is going to be one of my best all-time favorite series of all time. And so I'm very glad to get this onto my list. The next prompt is a Vixen, worth 15 points. And this is a book you want to read, but think it might be overhyped. Well, I mean, I hope it's not overhyped. I really do, because I'm so looking forward to this one. But this would be Babel by R.F. Kuang. This is my first book that I'm reading by her. I didn't read The Poppy Wars because that sounded a little too dark for me. I don't really like a lot of violence. But this one sounds cool because it seems to be very linguistics based, and I love linguistics. Like, I'm a nerd. I'm a self-professed nerd. I enjoy reading things like that. And this one is set in Oxford in 1836. The city of dreaming spires. It is the center of all knowledge and progress in the world. And at its heart is Babel, Oxford University's prestigious Royal Institute of Translation, a tower from which all the power of the empire flows. Orphaned in Canton and brought to England by a mysterious guardian, Robin Swift thought Babel a paradise until it became a prison. But can a student stand against an empire? And this sounds unique. It really sounds unique. It does, from what I hear, explore colonization, and the magic system is quite interesting to do with translations and language. So I think this is going to be a great book, but it is very hyped. And so there's always a possibility that it might be overhyped, from my opinion. We shall see. And then the Comet prompt, worth 25 points, is a book with an astronomical word in the title. For example, sun, moon, star, or sky. And for this one, this is really easy for me because I really wanted to get some easy reads onto my December TBR. And there's no easier, fun, light reads you can get than middle grade. And so I'm going to go with Onyeka and the Academy of the Sun, and this is Bartola Okaguru. Should be really fun read. It describes it as, there's no one like Onyeka. Onyeka's hair is extraordinary. It makes strangers stop in the streets. When she discovers she can control her hair with her mind, what once was an insecurity now becomes her superpower. Onyeka is whisked off to the Academy of the Sun, a school in Nigeria where Solari, children with superpowers, are trained. But soon, Onyeka and her new friends find themselves caught up in an epic battle, one that puts the future of all Solari at risk. It's a magic school. I'm looking forward to this one. Oh, look at her hair. It looks incredible. Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. And for Cupid, worth 15 points, it's a book with a favorite trope in it. So for this one, I'm going to go with The Reluctant Hero. And this gives me an opportunity to read book 6 of the Caiaphas Cain series by Sandy Mitchell. This is called Cain's Last Stand. And I've been so enjoying this series. It follows a commissar who's sort of like a political officer with a particular battalion, and he's meant to ensure morale and ensure everything's on the up. And he's a funny man. We get the story from his perspective, and he seems to really portray himself as a bit of a coward, always trying to escape danger on the battlefields, but inadvertently becomes the reluctant, unwilling hero because he ends up always choosing, somehow by sheer bad luck, the most dangerous place on the battlefield. And it's very funny. There is a lot of violence in it, but because of the way it's written and because it's how it's told, it always just feels a little bit lighthearted. He's a very Blackadder-esque character, and he even has an aide called Jürgen, who is so similar to Baldric. and they have that same kind of relationship, that banter. That's going to be on my TBR. And then I would have finished the second omnibus. And then for Donna, worth 20 points, is a book that you want to read, but are not a fan of the cover. And for this one, I'm going to go with Silverthorn by Raymond E. Feist. This is the second in the Magician series. I just finished Magician in November. And so this is a natural progression. I do want to complete this story. I think this cover is hideous. That's my opinion. I really hate this cover. And so this was a great opportunity to get this onto my TBR. So I'm not going to tell you about this book in particular because it will be spoilers potentially for the first book. But Magician follows Pug, who becomes apprentice to the court magician and has to come to understand how his powers work. And while he's in training, he and his friends come across this shipwreck that has unusual artifacts on it. And this triggers a whole series of events where they come into contact with a group of people who are not very friendly. And it's quite an epic story. It's a coming of age tale, a chunk of a book. And I read it incredibly quickly because it was just so readable. And so I'm really looking forward to completing this with Silverthorn. And then there's another one, I believe. For Blitzen, worth 20 points. You have to use a random number generator to find a number between 0 and 9 and find a book that ends in that page number. I'm going to use wheelofnames.com. And as you can see, I have entered the number 0 through to 9, put some cool little dice in the middle, and let's see what we come up with. And it's spinning, 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 spinning. And it's a 0. For this one, I'm going to pick Isaac Asimov's Foundation and Empire. This is the second in the Foundation series, and this one has 230 pages. So it ends with a 0. And I loved the first one. It was so good. It's a little bit different from what you might expect. It's not very character driven at all. In fact, you don't really get to know the characters at all. They are very shallow, but the ideas and the philosophy of it, it's a big picture story. For 12,000 years, the Galactic Empire has ruled supreme. Now it is dying, but only Harish Seldon, creator of the revolutionary science of psychohistory, can see into the future, to a dark age of ignorance, barbarism, and warfare that will last 30,000 years. To preserve knowledge and save humankind, Seldon gathers the best minds in the Empire, both scientists and scholars, and brings them to oblique planets at the edge of the galaxy to serve as a beacon of hope for future generations. He calls his sanctuary the Foundation. That's the premise of the first book, and this one continues from there. And I'm looking forward to going on with this series. And for the Rudolph prompts, worth 15 points. You need to start a new series. I'll be reading We Are Legion, We Are Bob by Dennis E. Taylor, and I'm going to be listening to this on audiobook. So Bob Johansson has just sold his software company for a small fortune and is looking forward to a life of leisure. The first item on his to-do list, spending his newfound windfall. On an urge to splurge, he signs up to have his head cryogenically preserved in case of death. Then he gets himself killed crossing the streets. Waking up 117 years later, Bob discovers his mind has been uploaded into a sentient space probe with the ability to replicate itself. Bob and his clones are on a mission to find new homes for humanity and boldly go where no Bob has gone before. So this sounds hilarious. It sounds so good. They're my 9 prompts. Then for the bonus points, you have Christmas Star worth 25 points. And that's if one of the books you read is over 500 pages. And for me, that would be Babel. It is 542 pages, so that fits that prompt. Then the Christmas lights were 15 points, and that's for an ebook. And I'm going to be reading Binti on my Kindle, on an ebook. And then Christmas Carols worth 20 points is for an audiobook, and that's going to be We Are Legion, We Are Bob. Then you can get extra points called Slaying It. And these are 50 extra points that you can get if you have completed all of your prompts, plus the Christmas Star, Christmas Lights, and Christmas Carols bonus prompts. Then you can redo one prompt of your choice for extra points. I have two options for this one, depending on how much time I'm going to have left in December. If I still have time for a full-length novel, I'm going to start a new series. So that's the Rudolph prompt. And that would be City of Stairs by Robert Jackson Bennett. I've been wanting to read this for ages, so I'm kind of hoping it will get onto my TBR. This is described as, you've got to be careful when you're chasing a murderer through Bulakov, for the world is not as it should be in that city. When the gods were destroyed and all worship of them banned by the polis, reality folded. Now stairs lead to nowhere, alleyways have become portals to the past, and criminals disappear into thin air. The murder of Dr. Ephraim Pangu, the polis diplomat researching the continent's past, began something. Now whispers of an uprising are fluttering out from invisible corners. Only one woman is willing to pursue the truth, but it is likely to cost her everything. And this sounds amazing. This sounds so good. I haven't read any Robert Jackson Bennett's. I have a lot of Robert Jackson Bennett on my TBRs. Loose TBR, but I'm hoping I can get to this one this month. However, if I only have a short amount of time, I'm still going to try and go for the Slaying It. And in that case, I'm going to go over the very first prompt, which is a novella or short story. And then I'm going to be reading The Emperor's Soul by Brandon Sanderson, which is in this bind up Arcanum Unbounded. So The Emperor's Soul is only about 150 pages, I think, and it follows Shai, a forger, a foreigner who can flawlessly recreate any item by rewriting its history using skillful magic, although she's currently condemned to death after trying to steal the Emperor's scepter. She has one last opportunity to save herself. The Emperor has barely survived an assassination attempt. He needs a new soul, and despite viewing her skill as a forger an abomination, her captors have turned to Shai for help. Skillfully deducing her captors' plans, Shai knows the first thing she needs is a perfect escape plan. But in the meantime, her fate and that of the Empire lies in completing an impossible task. Is it possible to create a forgery so convincing that it's better than the soul itself? So that sounds cool. It's Brandon Sanderson. It'll be fun. So I'll see which one of those two I read. I am going to try and go for the full-length novel if I can, just because I feel that's probably more worthy of the 50 points. Now, despite the readathon, I'm still going to try to continue my plan to read some short stories. So I'm going to pick a couple short stories out of my Hogwarts jar. So let's see what I get. So I'm going to pick this one and this one. Oh, I've got two sci-fis. That could be good or bad. The first one is this one. So it's The Conquest of Gola by Leslie F. Stone. And the second one is this one, which is The Snowball Effect by Catherine McLean. I know nothing about those, but that's okay. I shall tell you all about them in my December wrap-up. And that's my December TBR for the Reindeer Readathon. Thank you so much for watching. If you like my videos, please subscribe. It does make me happy. It gives me a little boost. And until I see you next time, take care.